I'm your host, Quinita Dunbar.
And I'm Daryl Kennedy.
Today we have a guest with us, an active citizen, Ron Burd, a representative of Joe Biden's campaign here with us. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
We're doing fine.
Great to be here. I
Awesome.
want to clarify that I'm here today as a private citizen. I happen to be volunteering for the Biden campaign, but I'm not employed by them.
All right. Please, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. I am a retired executive, worked in nonprofit organizations over 40 years. I had the good fortune to run organizations that focused on healthcare, behavioral health, special education for children, for adolescents, for families. And I retired, about 8 years ago as an executive vice president of Thomas Jefferson University Hospital here in Philadelphia. I've been politically active, starting to volunteer for candidates when I was 14 years old,
Wow.
carrying a sign outside saying, "Elect John Kennedy." But I wanted to tell you that I've worked on almost every campaign, volunteered, but I've never worked so hard as I have for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I'm doing it really for 4 reasons. And I can show you the reasons if you abide me here. These are the reasons. They're the socks I wear every day, and on the socks they have pictures of my 4 grandchildren: Eric, Nathan, Asher, and Winter. And I think of them every day because it's their future that I'm working for. And let me tell you, I've got more than one pair of socks. So, and my wife does a great job of keeping the 4 pairs clean.
That's adorable.
Well, we all know it's our right to vote in this country, but why is so much stress being put on this election, and why is it so critical for people to go out and vote right now?
Well, I think voting is really one of the most important and most special things we do as American citizens.
Right.
I'm speaking to you today from Philadelphia, which is really the birthplace of this country. Our founding fathers gave us a gift of our voices and our vote. And I urge every one of you to come out and vote this Tuesday, November 3rd, if you haven't voted already. And if you haven't voted, I urge you to look at the website, iwillvote.com. Wherever you're watching this in this country, it will tell you where your polling place is this coming Tuesday. You put in your address, and it will show you exactly where to go to vote. Now, if you have an absentee ballot and haven't sent it in already, do not send it in. iwillvote.com will tell you where you can drop it off between now and Tuesday. In some cases, you may have to bring it to the polls on Tuesday, and they'll tell you what to do with it. But do not put it in the mail. We're very concerned about ballots getting in on time at this point. So what you can do is find out your place of voting. I'd urge you, and each state has different requirements, but bring some ID, picture ID, passport, driver's license, and something else that shows your address, where you live. I would suggest that you also be prepared for a long wait. So bring a snack, bring lunch, bring dinner, bring clothing if it's going to rain, if it's going to be cold. But it will be festive out there. I can assure you. There are places that will be delivering pizza. My wife and I will be out on Tuesday with bags of cookies for people standing in line in our neighborhood. It's a joyous responsibility that we have in this country.
Yes, it is.
We can turn down voting with those incentives, right?
Right.
I'm sorry. What are some of the plans that the Democratic Party will implement for the immigrant population?
Okay, well, I've got to assume that most of the people watching today, unless you're Native Americans, are immigrants. Some of you more recently. My family came here over 100 years ago from Russia and Poland. They were terribly oppressed in those countries because they were Jewish people. And I know that many of you fleeing from a very terrible civil war. But you all saw, as my family did, a beacon of hope and opportunity that the American dream held out and still does. Unfortunately, for the last 4 years, we've had a terrible interruption in that dream and the welcoming arms of our Statue of Liberty. Our president does not believe in the beautiful words of "Give us your tired, your poor, and your huddled masses yearning to be free." I think Trump's attitude has been, and his policies have not just been insulting; they've been ignorant. Research suggests that the total annual contribution of foreign-born workers in this country is roughly $2 trillion.
Wow.
So what will Joe Biden do? He will take urgent action to undo Trump's damage and reclaim American values. He's doing that already as he goes around the country to talk. But as president, he'll have a real voice. He'll help create pathways for citizenship for those people who've come to this country to work hard, and people like the DACA children. And I understand that Liberians, many of them have been here through a program called Deferred Enforced Departure Program. That was extended visas for work, for education. Those have been, the deadlines have been continued several times. I think the most recent one is January of 2021. Trump has extended them a couple times. I wouldn't count on him extending them anymore. Joe Biden, I'm confident, will address that issue very, very satisfactorily. Biden wants to modernize America's immigration system. He wants to welcome immigrants to our communities. He knows the richness of this country is the diversity of people that we have here. And he certainly is going to stop building that atrocious wall. It's done nothing but be a black mark on our country and a scar to our open arm historical approach.
All right. Please sit tight for the brief commercial break. But before you do, please go to iwillvote.com for any details regarding the election and polling locations. And we'll be right back.
Right?
And we're back with Ron Burd. With the current state of affairs, including social injustice and police brutality, what are some of the plans of the Democratic Party?
Well, first and foremost, Joe Biden is appalled at the state of social injustice and racial prejudice in this country. He firmly believes, and has said it very clearly, that Black lives matter. He doesn't see people as black or white or brown, he doesn't see states in this country as red or blue. He sees a rainbow in this country, in each of us and in each of the states. And look who he chose to be his running mate, Kamala Harris. Really, it'll be a first in this country's history. We can and must reduce, and here's his plan is to strengthen commitment to justice. He says we can and must reduce the number of people incarcerated in this country while also reducing crime. Our criminal justice system cannot be just root out racial, gender, and income-based disparities in our system. We have to root them out. They've been too ingrained in our system. People of color are much more likely to be incarcerated and much more likely to have long must be focused on redemption and rehabilitation. And very important, Joe Biden does not want to defund the police. He wants to strengthen law enforcement through better training and support for some of the difficult domestic situations that police are called on to handle. He's got a very good comprehensive policy, and as he will do, he'll bring together different parties with differing points of view to flesh out a stronger set of policies and programs going forward.
Now, I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about coronavirus and its effect on the American people, more specifically those who have lost their jobs or those who are, making paychecks, work from, making ends meet paycheck to paycheck. What would Biden's plan be to help these families who are struggling?
Well, it's a great question. I think you can see the difference between his approach and President Trump's approach just by how they've gone about their campaigning. President Trump has held these massive coronavirus spreading rallies with no regard for the people who are in the crowd. Joe Biden has been incredibly respectful. I had the good fortune to volunteer last week when President Obama was here down at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah.
The volunteers were there 2 hours in advance to make sure that we were instructed on health and safety precautions. We were very careful to make sure that people were wearing masks, that people were safe. It was like an old-fashioned, you folks are too young to remember this, an old-fashioned drive-in movie. Cars were spaced out very, very separately, and there was great care. And I think you see that. In terms of policies, Joe Biden, one thing is very clear. He's not going to shut down the economy. As he says, he wants to shut down the virus. He probably will work hard to institute a face mask requirement. As president, he can't simply wave his hand and make that happen, but he will use his position to encourage governors and mayors to make that happen. And many of the health professionals, even some public health professionals, even some in his own party, like Dr. Fauci, are urging people to wear masks, which could save over 100,000 lives in the next 6 months.
Right.
I think he's going to work very hard, and my prediction would be that shortly after the election, even before he takes office, he'll work with Congress to see if we can get the next version of the CARES Act in place to help our what Nancy Pelosi calls the HEROES Act. So I suspect there'll be some relief that will come forward even before he's sworn in on January 20th. Again, I'm not speaking as a member of his staff. I'm just speaking as a concerned citizen who has watched him work for many years.
All right. In what aspects do you feel that Biden is the best president for our country for the next 4 years?
Well, sometimes history has a way of speaking to us very, very directly. And I think what's transpired in this country over the last 4 years is something that I've never witnessed. We've had a president that's fueled hate and disparity. He's not embraced the core elements of this country.
Right.
People have complained, well, gee, is Joe Biden too old? Is he too centrist? I know you young folks are concerned about seeing a quicker action, as I was when I was your age and still am. But I think Joe Biden is the right person for this time. If you're a person of faith, you probably believe that God may have had a hand in this because he really is the right person. I go back to my 4 grandchildren and their wonderful parents, my children and daughters-in-law. I want to see a decent human being become president of the United States who knows how to work with others, who can hold differing views and can really bring people together. And his experience in working with Congress is a very valuable tool here. I think he'll restore respect for this country, for those inside this country and for those of us who are abroad who used to be our allies but really question what our commitment to them has been over the last 4 years.
Right.
I think he's going to build our economy for the middle class, not for the very wealthy, where Trump has been focused. And I think he's certainly going to advance social justice. And you mentioned coronavirus. He is going to improve our healthcare system. He and President Obama made a tremendous first step back in 2008 with the Affordable Care Act, which is now called Obamacare. But more work needs to be done on that, and he acknowledges it. And this is not going to be a socialist healthcare system by any means. And he's going to recognize the concerns of you young people. He's the first president that's going to have comprehensive policies and programs directed at climate change. It's a real threat. And if there's going to be a future for my grandchildren and all of you out there, I think climate change needs to be addressed and dealt with very, very seriously. And that's why I'm supporting him. I think he is the right person for our time.
Awesome. So while we're still in the lane of climate change, because like us millennials and the younger generations, it really does matter to us about our environment, leaving something behind for our children, our grandchildren. So, is there any way you could talk a little bit more extensively about Biden's plan for? Actually, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back.
Sure. Happy to.
We'll be right back, guys.
Are there any more topics that you would like to discuss?
Well, I wanted to respond to the question posed to me about climate change.
Right.
Right. I do think he's going to have very comprehensive plans. He's talked about some goals around renewable energy, reducing our carbon footprint, and he said something very important, and that is he sees dealing with climate change as jobs. He's going to fuel an economy, renewably energy fueled economy that's going to create many, many new jobs, millions of new jobs, all about bringing about electric vehicles, reducing fossil fuels.
Right.
And I think it's going to benefit the country, and it's going to benefit our future as well.
On that note, I don't know if you heard anything that Andy Kim, I believe his name was. He was talking about the future of the truck industry becoming automated and stuff like that, and he wanted to reteach and retrain those workers in those fields to do more like technical type jobs like that. So with the market going towards more renewable energy and less fuel and stuff like that, how would we transition the country from being reliant on those type of energy and those fuels and those jobs into a more automated system? Does Biden have a plan for that, to make that change?
Yes, his plan is not simply to wave a magic wand and make it happen.
Right.
He's going to have to give incentives to companies that are providing these renewable energy sources, and he will do that. He says he's going to stop subsidies for the fossil fuel industry. That's going to take some time, but he is going to provide incentives and training. You're not going to be able to. The old saying is, people aren't making buggy whips anymore because people are driving cars. Well, you have to train the people who made the buggy whips to drive the cars and make the cars today. It's going to be a similar process going forward, but there'll be a lot of excitement, and I think there'll be. You'll see changes in our educational system, both at the college level and in technical programs, vocational programs, that people at all levels will be prepared for this new world. And it's an important new world. It's an exciting new world, and it's very, very necessary.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank you, Mr. Ron Burd, for your time. Well, that's a wrap on another interview here at.
Can I just make a suggestion? In addition to iwillvote.com, if any of you want to help the campaign these final 4 days, and remember, the vote is November 3rd, Tuesday, not Thursday, Tuesday, go to joebiden.com.
Okay.
And you'll be able to hear more about some of the policies that we've just touched upon briefly, as well as sign up to volunteer. So iwillvote.com is your voting place. Joe Biden, one word, .com will help you with understanding more of his policies in depth and providing opportunities for you to volunteer in the next several days. Thank you both for having me on. I really appreciate it. And Joe Biden is when I say good luck to all of you, Joe Biden is the best gift we all can give ourselves.
Well, thank you. We would love to have you back on the network, or anybody, you or anybody from the campaign, please. If you guys would love to, we open an invitation onto our platform.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to Lrtn Live on all social platforms. I'm your host, Quinita Dunbar.
And I'm Daryl Kennedy.
Signing off.